Hey everyone, this is the Kubeflow Notebooks meeting for the 10th of April, 2025. We have cut the 1.10 release for the manifests. Obviously, that's the manifest and the overall community doing that. I just wanted to highlight that that's happened. So theoretically, there will be there's a blog post for 1.10 as well. So there's this version here. I mean, again, people will there's like as it gets wider distribution, usually things are found that are problematic. So I mean, if you find them, please raise them if they're related to notebooks with us. If they're not related to notebooks or the dashboard or other things, then raise them with other working groups. Technically, we do have a blog. Also, the dark mode landed on the website, by the way. It's a side note. That's kind of cool. But blog, we have a 1.10. It was kind of cut a little bit early, so there is some typos in the blog. So if you find problems with the blog, I know that, like, for example, this links to our 1.11 issue. So anyway, yeah. So I know that the formatting's a bit strange, so I think it's because we accidentally merged it before we should have, but whatever. Yep, so 1.10, if anyone wants to say anything about it, I'm happy to, if anyone wants to say stuff about it, anything. If not, then we'll move on. Okay, so I think some people are away, especially because KubeCon was last week, so we will just try and make sure that we have things for people to do who are here. One of the things that we were asked to do a while ago by Andre was to split up the Kubeflow repo into the Kubeflow dashboard and notebooks repos. So we are mostly ready to do that now that we've cut the 1.10 release. Andre was maybe planning to come, and Milland is also here. So we'll talk about. Do you want to say hi, Milland? Sorry. I know that you've been working with Andre there.
Yeah, hello.
Hi. Okay, well, Milland, I assume that you. Well, yeah, I think Andre was saying you wanted to help out with,
Yeah.
this. Okay, so from a technical perspective, thanks for doing some of the work with the filtering stuff. From what we'll probably do now is we'll have to redo that again, but it's easy. Just and then move the commits for the dashboard only to the new dashboard repo. And so we're going to be pushing that to main. And the actual commands that you ran to filter the commits from Kubeflow and stuff like this. So what's going to happen is all the commits that didn't affect these kind of areas, we'll just make sure that these are all correct, won't come up in the new dashboard repo, but the old ones will, so that we still have all the history. And then once we've done that, then we have the more difficult task of setting up the release process on this repo. And I think that's what Milland, you're willing to help out with. And of course, anyone else, I'm sure Andy will be interested in this as well, because it's about GitHub Actions and building container images. I did get confirmation that I think the KSC and everyone's happy for us to use how we moved to GitHub Container Registry to continue using these images for the releases there. So, and I just want to highlight, I want to raise a question for everyone, which is, does everyone agree that once these commits move from here, that we shouldn't release another 1.10 release from this new repo? Instead, we should immediately release effectively. I don't know. It's gonna be hard to test our release process if we don't, but maybe we could release some other thing. I don't know. We need to release like a 1.11, right? Which is just equivalent to 1.10. But then we do have this issue of now a split brain code situation, because we already have the 1.10 branch on Kubeflow. So any new 1.10 versions of the notebook of the dashboard will need to come into here. But I don't know. I guess we could do a test release on another branch. Sorry, a fork of this repo. I guess. I guess that's up for people who are making those release processes. Does anyone have any opinions here?
I think probably because I mean the main point of cutting this release is going to be to make sure our release process works. So I feel like just testing on another repo to make sure it's good, and then we only really push a release when we have a real release is the most straightforward. I just hate pushing a release on the community, which always then is like, should we upgrade? And here it's like, you should always upgrade, but there are no real change. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm personally in favor of verifying on a fork and then rolling with it. But I mean, I'm not going to die on that hill.
No, I agree with that. And Andre, hi, he just joined as well, so he's obviously the one pushing this initiative.
Yeah, hi, any problems?
We're just talking about what we're going to do once we move the commits to the new repo.
Okay, any suggestions?
Well, obviously we're going to have to make a release process for the new repo, and that's kind of what we're figuring out how to whether we probably I think it makes sense to just make a fork of the repo and test the release process once we've got the release process in, rather than cutting a 1.11 immediately.
Yep.
Uh, if you have ideas about what you guys did for, do you want to share what you guys did? So, hi everyone. Most people would know Andre, obviously, but he's one of the
Yeah.
leads of the. If you're new to the community or you only care about notebooks, he's one of the leads of the KSC. He's also like one of the governance leads. He's also a long time lead and maintainer of the training operator, which is now called Trainer, and a bunch of other stuff as well. So if I mean, I don't know if you can take 5 minutes to just explain your rationale behind why we're moving the code and what you did with your own stuff.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for introduction. Hi, everyone. Yeah, so been well since I joined the schools. I know I've been following what notebooks are doing for a while. I know you upload recording on YouTube. Thanks for this. I think it's exciting stuff happening in 2.0. So looking forward to the release. Yeah, I think so. We started the discussion last year, right? The initial rationale was we kind of like so many people, like especially new people, don't really understand what is Kubeflow. And the problem, like we saw the complaints that folks creating the PRs in this repo and these PRs have been reviewed, and also like folks check like commit history for this repo and they see like there is no activity, and it's also caused some problems like people asking like whether Qflow actually exists, whether we're doing any development, or like Qflow is like slowly dying. But the problem is like those users that don't really understand like the majority of development happening outside of this repo. And also, like this connected to the story around, we want to clearly explain that Qflow is the ecosystem of individual sub-projects, and you can basically, uh, install this as a platform, as an end-to-end platform, or you can take individual pieces and use it within your other platforms. So we started the discussion last year, I think in January, to split the Qflow repo between notebooks and dashboard. The initial goal was to move all the components related to notebooks 1.0 to Qflow/notebooks, and other components related to dashboard and profiles and other common applications to the Qflow/dashboard. So right now we, I guess, already kind of decided what we want to do. We just need to move the code to the dashboard, and then we need to move the code to the notebooks, right? Um, yeah, so this is, I guess, like the split what we want to do for dashboard and for notebooks.
And yeah, we didn't specify branches
Mhm.
here, but just in my this is actually something we will need to discuss as well. But we're going to do dashboard first because it's less complicated. But we will come back to that. So yeah, there'll be two branches. As everyone knows who's developing Notebooks 2.0, we have a on the existing Kubeflow Notebooks branch, wherever it is, we have a V2 that will become main at some point. Notebooks-V2 will become main once we cut a first release of V2. We'll move the commits directly. We won't do like a one pull request situation. But V1 is where all the old stuff is going to live, and for a while we'll be cutting releases out of both. Because there are things that are not like we're expecting some people to want to run both at once, for example. Yeah. Any thoughts about what you guys are doing a similar thing with Trainer, right, Andre?
Yeah, so for training operator, like what we've done something different. We only create the release branch called release 1.9, and this is the final like branch for all the future releases. Even if in the future we decide to do 1.10 for training operator, we will just cut the branch from this branch. But right now we decided just to keep the 1.9 release as the final release of training operator.
I think that makes it a little bit harder from pull requests perspective if they batch up, but yes, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, like like it's usually like if someone want to have changes in training operator, they can directly push to this branch, right?
It's more like if you have a pending pull request after you've cut 1.10, then it causes problems about where the code line, where main line is of your V1, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's fine. So we don't really have a lot of pending PRs. We try to triage them, but it should be okay as long as you kind of rebase, right, your PRs on the updated branch.
Okay, cool.
Uh,
So yeah, other than that, so Milind and other people who are interested in helping, what we'll do hopefully soon is we'll for the dashboard component specifically, as we're going to do the git filter path on these, which what this will do is create a bunch of commits that only affect those components. And then we'll move that code to the dashboard repo under the main in the case of dashboard, because there's no v2 for dashboard yet. And from there, we then need to set up a release process that we're actually confident we can cut a release from, and then we can remove the code from the v1, which again we'll only be removing initially the like these components and their associated GitHub actions, obviously. But okay, this is a question for everyone then. So like, do people have time to work on this? Like, who has, other than Milland and maybe Andy?
Just to confirm, I'll be able to put some time on this.
Cool. Yeah, so again, the goal initially is just to be able to cut a release, because like we need to be confident that we can actually cut a release if we need to. Of course, 1.10, we can still cut releases from Kubeflow, but for anything future, we would need the new one. It also will help if we end up accepting a GSOC student who will be working on, the rewrite that was started by Canonical a long time ago for the dashboard in Angular. So if that happens, obviously the new repo will be a much better place for them to do that work, I would say. Anyway, cool. And so for notebooks, yeah.
Any blockers for us to do it straight after this meeting? Like, I guess we decided to do it even yesterday, but
yeah, I was a bit busy yesterday, but
okay.
It was a bit crazy. But yeah, so I guess the steps would be this. So also that's another thing as well. We do need to make sure that we catalog the pull requests that we care about at some point. So a lot of them, they'll all stay open, but like we need to go through the ones that are actually dashboard, and if we still care about them, tell them to re-raise them or re-raise them manually on in the other repo. So I don't know. That's something probably we can do, Andy, once we've done the migration and got a release process. It could also tests as well, because obviously we need the test to be set up on the new repo as well, so that they can re-raise the pull request with the test. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I mean, Andre, obviously pushing the code can be done almost immediately. Actually doing the GitHub actions will take time.
Okay, so yeah, I understand, like, Andy and Millen needs time for GitHub action, but at least like we can push it code right now so folks can start working on it, right?
Yeah, I mean, so as long as we agree that only these paths should be kept, I think I would just need to confirm that that's aligned with the other thing. Yes. Okay, cool. Yeah, that seems fine. We can do that very much after this meeting. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I think we already.
And for what it's worth, I should be able to start kicking tires on it a little bit tomorrow, and by mid next week, I should be able to have some time to significant time to focus on this. I'll raise any questions in our Slack channel, but look to provide some immediate feedback to keep the ball rolling.
Cool. Okay.
Thank you, Andy.
Also, I just realized, by the way, just a side note, another Notebooks 1.0 thing. Is there anything else you want to add, Andre?
On the Notebooks 1.0, any kind of things you want? Any like unresolved discussions to move
there's
forward?
lots of unresolved discussions, but like most of them are obviously people do raise things and pull requests and whatnot.
Okay.
But it's the Notebooks 1.0 stuff. Like I think there's the unresolved discussion we need to have, and we'll probably have that maybe next week once we've done the dashboard one, is around what we do with the example notebook images and other things like that, because they're going to be used by 1.0 and 2.0 initially. And so maybe we should move them to their own repo, for example, or something like that. Or a new branch, maybe. I don't know.
But don't you think, like, initially we should just move everything to the Notebooks v1 branch in this?
I mean, we can. I guess we can. And then we have some kind of slightly painful migration process to the other main. But
yeah, it's okay, right? This could be like a follow-up, right? So at least we move with this initial discussion we started last year, right?
Yeah, no, I don't want to move it into main though, because I want to release the versions of those tags will still be v1. So yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, okay, cool. Let's so that, and then other than that, some of the tests are a bit flaky. So just as a side note, when you guys are making the tests, not on the dashboard, that's mainly on the notebook stuff. Some of the tests on notebooks are a bit flaky. So that's just something to be aware of. Yes. But yeah, so like, let's see how long it takes through dashboard, which is, I think, less complicated. And then if we can base that on what we expect to happen with the notebooks. And also dashboard gets us the ability for the GSOC student to help work on that as well. So,
yep. Just maybe one small question, sorry, like for this Angular UI,
mhm.
what is the final agreement for us to move this code?
Well, it'll be moved with this code, because otherwise it has no home.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not finished and it's not ready to use right now. But it might become ready if someone eventually continues to work on it and makes it
Yeah, but I
aligned.
think I'm asking about this common web app, right? We're using
Oh, the
for
common web app. That's
UI.
not Angular. Oh, you mean that? Sorry.
Yeah, basically because it's also Angular, right?
Yeah, that's sorry. I thought you were talking about something else. Yeah. So that is an interesting question. Um, Once we get to the point where we're no longer using it for anything, we can discuss whether it should move to whoever remains using it.
Okay.
But we won't be using this after 2.0. Well, maybe 2.1, because the reason we won't is because TensorBoards is getting dropped and volumes will be implemented in Notebooks 2.0. So well, we won't need this anymore. So,
So
uh,
yeah, I see. So basically, but for notebooks 1.0, right? We still need it, right?
well, it'll exist in that
Yeah.
repo, yeah, and so that main line will still exist. That's part of the reason it stays in that in that branch, because you can still reference that branch on your things and
You
commit
mean
into
from KTP UI, right?
yeah, anywhere from all the other ones as well. Yeah.
I
So
think it's only KTP UI which uses this,
I
if I
think also
remember.
the models web app and
Mm.
the one for no, not models web app. Sorry,
The case server one.
Kserve one.
Yeah,
That's the one.
you're
Yeah.
right. The models web app, yeah.
That is what that's called. You're right. That is actually what that's called. Yes, yes. Cool. But yeah, of course, and this actually brings me to the next discussion, which I mean, was to skip over some stuff, which maybe I want to have since we've got Andre here. There is a few things that I would like to suggest that we consider for Notebooks 2.0. We're already adding a lot of sidebar stuff in our work. Thanks to everyone for doing stuff like that. But there are other resources that we might want to consider having a tab for in the notebooks with like workspaces being like other things that you might spawn, for example, from a workspace. One of which might be a training job. Maybe with the new training SDK, you submit a job from your notebook, and if I think a lot of people would love the ability to just, even if nothing else, just look at the ones that are currently running in their namespace and see them on the sidebar, maybe for jobs, maybe for training operator, maybe API operator, maybe Spark operator, all these other things. We can, in the same way that we have volumes and secrets on our sidebar, what we're going to for Notebooks 2, there's a discussion around other CRDs and whether we can make a generic one as well. Because I know that there is other CRDs that people might want to expose to their users. So maybe we can, I don't know if the front end people are here or the other people are here. Maybe we should consider making some kind of generic with like some like plugin almost based approach to have admins be able to list any resource arbitrarily as a sidebar tab, And Andre, I don't know what your thoughts are here. If you guys plan to make your own UI at any point or
Yeah, so let me first of all ask you on the volumes, like, do you view this for Jupyter explicitly or for any sort of front end?
So for the volumes, so the reason why the volumes is going to be part of 2.0 is partially just so that we can get rid of that Angular code, but also so that it's going to be quite integrated as well, right? Like, so the volumes and secrets will have quite tight integrations because they're quite integrated with the workspaces. But for other stuff, like that's kind of what I'm more talking about. So,
Yeah, so I mean, like, because we need to like understand, we have a lot of interest to build an extension for trainer and other components of Kubeflow. I think we discussed this a lot with Heather and other people from Red Hat, especially on this ML experience working group discussion, right? Like this scale discussion in Lyra and also the scheduler plugin, how we can consolidate them within Jupyter. But we're not really talking about other UIs like VS Code and RStudio, which right now part of workspaces, right? So I'd love to understand your opinion on this, like what is experience you looking for users?
well, for volumes and secrets, it's again, they're just CRDs that need to be created before you can use a notebook sometimes, like that's what that's about, or that you want to be able to overview. But first, for other things that you are talking about, we are talking about being able to create them from Jupyter. But for example, let's say you've got just an admin who wants to overview what's running, and that maybe not be part of a notebook or care about the notebook specifically. They just want to see what's, I kicked off a job, it takes 2 weeks to
Yeah.
run. I just want to quickly look at yeah.
Yeah, I think we should. I think I discussed this before a little bit. So I think we should separate personas, right? Like from our point of view, the kind of Kubeflow dashboard is not really useful for ML persona. Like ML user persona, they only want to work with Jupyter, and they want to do everything in Jupyter, and don't really want to leave Jupyter, which means all this experience, ML experience, should live around this UI. And I agree with you that there also a need for admin persona to view all the jobs, volume, secrets, right, and all this cluster resources for which they can use central dashboard as the reference. One of the reference architecture could be, right. I guess the question is like how to find a balance between this as well, right? Because you're, I guess, talking about more kind of centralized dashboard for all those jobs, right? Not like an extension within Jupyter, right, which can list these jobs.
Well, I
If
feel
I
like at least these three ones are all jobs, right? So I feel like this is it's coming to me right now. I'm just spitting off the bat here. Like that, I think maybe we should have a jobs section of the workspace or something like that, and then we have like a plugin for each kind of job, like Kubernetes based jobs, like leader worker set based jobs, training operator based jobs, Spark
I
operator.
don't
You know
think
what I mean?
so. I don't think users really care about CRD naming at all. I think users care about like I create my PyTorch code and scale it across multiple nodes, right? I get the results. They don't really need to know like what is the name. They can maybe distinguish between train jobs, optimizing jobs, inference,
What I'm
right?
saying is we just have a jobs tab that lists all of
Yeah,
them and then filters by
yeah.
type. You know what I mean? And initially, it just literally exposes the CRD. And we can talk about with the front end devs what that means. But
But do you
like
mean inside the Jupyter or outside of Jupyter
this
from?
in this particular case, I'm talking about in the same way that there's a volumes page that is
Is there
for
any mockups we can take a look?
not
Like
well
how?
for the volumes, yes, but not for this part. This is just an
Yeah,
idea that we
for
have.
the volumes at least. Can
Oh
you take
yeah,
a
I
look?
mean there's actually I don't know if we have mockups for the volumes section yet. Sorry, but we do have mockups for well, we've built the workspaces and workspace kind ones. So effectively, just think about it as a list of. We can think about how it might look better, but initially just think of it as a table, just like the notebooks table currently is. Anyway, we probably. I want to get to the notebooks 2.0 task tracking, so I just want to raise this with people to think about, if it makes sense and if the other working groups would also be like okay with us integrating with their CRDs a little bit, not super tightly, just so that people can overview what they've submitted from their notebook effectively.
And not only for notebook, right?
Yeah, technically not. Yeah.
You're technically calling like about the UI just for this type of job, right? With the Spark jobs, and I think we need to talk more on this. I think we need Eder here as well because Eder also has some opinions there, and I think we just need to see what we should start. Whether it should be extension. This is one approach, or we should build completely separate tab and the central dashboard. I can see like similarly have like workspace kinds, right? Workspaces.
Yeah, those ones
Because
obviously need their own tabs, but like I'm just thinking, I feel like there is a commonality of like a job type. I feel like there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. I'm saying, but like all this batch submission, right? But we also have pipelines, right? So,
But those
like we
aren't CRDs, so we can't easily do those.
yeah, but I mean, I feel like we need more broader discussion, right? Because pipelines also has all the things, experiments runs, pipeline runs, right? How to keep those experiments consistent might be really, important from the user perspective, right?
When it's a CRD, I think it can be pretty easily just like a table, but like when it's not a CRD, I think like pipelines abstracts a lot of these concepts, which I think is the problem, which makes it not, they can't move into here is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but at the same time, from pipeline, you can submit a job, right? Which kind of the broader, like one of the primary use case of pipelines, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Anyway, I just
Yeah.
wanted to bring that. And is there anything else you want to add, Andre, or things that we might be able to collaborate with on
No,
between?
I think it makes sense. Like, I would love to, like, discuss some ideas and maybe some, proposals there. Because I think we also have, we also want to have it. And especially, like, we want to have this on the Jupyter extension perspective, right? So, as you mentioned, right? User submit something from Jupyter, they can see this, job as the extension within Jupyter, and so they can consume the results like metrics, models, artifacts, right, within the Jupyter. I think
Also, what's
also,
good about that is that we're going to be building an API for this anyway, so you'll be able to use the same API.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, that makes sense. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
and you can use the same REST API, and then someone could even build one on their laptop as well or something. They could build anything. It's but although the auth situation might be a bit complicated because the API assumes that you're behind the proxy that injects your user ID. But anyway, okay, cool.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt, but I think that maybe we should have like a broader discussion between both the ML team and this team, especially because there could be there could be stuff that could be work in the UI that maybe can be injected also into Jupyter somehow, especially with the React nature of the code we are writing. So so it's a great idea, and if we can write them once and use it in multiple places, will be even better because we will reduce a lot the effort of development for that. So I think we must have some kind of broader discussion as Andre is mentioning, especially with Ether and team. So I agree.
Yeah, we talk about it a little bit with Ether. Like the goal of I think model registry UI was to make it embedded within Jupyter. So, you know, different organizations can use this UIs differently in different experience, right? So
But
we should, yeah.
yeah, but maybe the same here with because it's different.
Yeah.
Like the Jupyter, like the user experience of the Jupyter front end is different from like the dashboard front end. But if we can like write those smaller components and we can just inject a component when we want and modify those things for Jupyter, we will have a different user experience, especially with the bars, with all the things you can do in between. Because if not, it will be like I mean, we can embed a page into that, but if we can like adjust the user experience for the user which is actually going to be using that, I think it could improve that in several levels. But I agree that we should have a more broader discussion, especially with Ether and team.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. I'm just from a user motivation perspective. Again, the goal is just so that, you know, jobs take time and people want to be able to monitor them with a UI. Like that's just a really common question. That's kind of that's where this is coming from. It's not anything more than that, really. Cool. Thanks, Andre. Anything else you want to add?
That makes sense. I think let's collaborate also on ML experience from Europe, right? On this.
Yeah, of course. Eder is obviously heavily involved in that, so he'll be good connection
Right.
point there. I think it is technically a separate working group, but yes. Cool. Let's move on to like the stand-up stuff. So I think Paulo, do you want to go first?
Yes, I can start. So for the workspace creation UI, I'm working on some UI issues. First, I'm adding a drawer there to modify the way we display resources like images details during the creation wizard steps. And I'm also reviewing Liav's PR, which is this one you open.
Okay, cool.
He will probably talk on his turn.
Oh, I can't minimize that. Oh, there we go. That breakdown. Okay. So in terms of this, is this waiting on changes or?
Oh, he did the changes I suggested, and now I need to finish another review and test it. I'm doing this today.
And this is for the workspace kind viewer. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, also I think we talked about, yeah, once we've got the view, we need to think about, you know, also from a user perspective, this will be the main way that admins create new workspaces and update existing ones as well. So we need to think about those kind of flows. And whether we like can have a, you know, pull latest images from the official examples kind of one or something. I wonder. Anyway, the reason being, just coming back, why we don't use GitOps to do workspace kind management is because they're very stateful. And so, and they depend on the state of the cluster. So you can't remove an option that someone is using, for example. And so it's not like doing that with GitOps is just too dangerous. Because, you know, what if your GitOps, you'd make a change to remove an option, but then someone spawns a notebook just as you do that, right? Of course, you can do it in the way that we defined, which was like deprecating and then remove, but it's still just very painful. And I think almost everyone should use the UI to do it. Otherwise, we end up in these inconsistent states. But we can talk about what that means later. It also lets people do what we talked about before, which is people get angry when they can't add a custom image from the UI, like a notebook image, right? And in Notebook 2.0, they will have to add it as an option. So yeah, that looks really cool. Anything else you've been working on?
No, for now, that's it.
Anything you're blocked by?
No, not at this point.
Okay, cool. Jenny, are you there? There you are.
Thank you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
I am. Hello. So I've been working with Hen and Paolo on workspace creation wizard. So there's a final step there. And then Hen has reached out and I'm just helping her there with answering some Patternfly related questions about the implementation and sort of the best components to use in that final step there. I've opened also, yes, that's what you're seeing there is some UI enhancement tickets just to fix some issues with alignment and just various Patternfly related bugs that are related to the way that we're currently implementing the components with like the current component structure. So we'll be working on that. I'll also link it. I've also opened an issue to update our Patternfly version to 6.2. 6.2 was just released. So that'll be something that helps us keep us stay up to date with the latest changes and the latest features that are in Patternfly as well. And yeah, that's it for me. Always, yeah, please feel free to tag me to review any front-end work or Patternfly related implementations. I'm happy to provide feedback and add comments on pull requests. And yeah, that's it for me.
Cool. Is there anything that you've got? So you've obviously got lots of stuff to work on, but like, is there anything that's blocking you, or?
No, not at the moment. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. At some point, I'd love to, are you the sort of person who can make mockups, or is that someone else?
So I'm more of a front-end developer. Yeah, that's gonna be someone else. Hopefully we can get someone else soon.
Cool.
We can do that
Because
though.
I'm just
Yeah.
thinking maybe like this kind of, we can have, like, I think we can bring this to like a discussion with other working groups if we kind of, make a mockup for what this might look like, or something. It also might just be so simple to add as just a table, but then I think the table is useful, but not as, like, I don't know, for this kind of job thing we were just talking about, maybe because
Yeah.
visualizing it might help.
Let's try to define the idea, and I can try to get some resources for making
Cool.
the backups.
Awesome.
That'd be awesome.
Anything, so what, and I guess this week you'll be working on stuff, or next week, I guess?
Yeah, just continuing to work on those UI enhancements, and I'll put up a version bump for Patternfly as well this week.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. Live? Leave?
Hey, Liab.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes.
Hi. So I'm working. I worked on the workspace kind viewer. Paulo is currently reviewing the PR. Also, I started a discussion about the design for the view details in the workspace kind page. But I didn't get any answer in the
View
community chat.
details?
The view details, yeah, and the
Let me
view
just see
details for the workspace kinds page.
Oh, I see what you're saying. In workspace, I think it's probably because we hadn't even fully agreed on the other one as well. Comments. Okay. Let me just open it. Let's show it on the screen. All right, but is this the right one or not? This is not that one.
Yeah, this one, this suggestion, Yael Fischel did months ago for the tabs in the view details. And we want to start to implement the mockup for it. So
other people as well, what is our status on the details page on the workspaces?
I think we have left only the log part and all the rest are completed.
Are they actually connected to the production backend or are they just mocked? I think they're mocked.
No.
Right?
Yeah, they mocked, but we already have open user stories for the backend side. One of them is on Assad, that waiting for Muhammad's PR to be merged, but he finished his side in the front.
And you're talking about Muhammad's PR to do the tilt.
The YAML.
Oh no, YAML.
Yeah, fetch YAML.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, is that blocked, right? Is he in the call? No, he's not. Okay. So what is that blocking? I mean, that's blocking workspace, not you specifically, but.
No, not me. It's blocking Assad.
Assad? Okay.
Yeah. Assad.
Are they in the call? No, they're not. Okay.
No.
Let's okay, so we should. I mean, we should. I think. I imagine that that obviously is not related to your task, but like we should probably get that merged then for the backend. YAML, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. So this might need to be rebased. I think it's been a wee while. Yeah. Okay, we need to review this. Yeah, okay. Interesting. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I agree that we need to do that for the workspace. And so other front-end people, like, how are you doing this right now? Have you just got a mock-up or do you don't have it at all? Like, have you got a YAML viewer embedded?
Now, for now, we have a mock YAML, yeah.
Okay, but you're using like whatever that YAML viewer thing is called, the VS
I
Code
think
one.
code editor, I think, I don't remember.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We use the Patternfly one, which uses Monaco.
Monaco, yeah, that's the VS Code one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. And does it look okay? Is it like something you think will be okay? Is it able to do the collapsing of YAML sections?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did it. To be honest, I did this task, and yes,
Okay, cool.
it's already in. Mhm.
Are we able to also filter out, like system fields by default? Have like a tick, like or something like that?
No, I think we can't filter them, but we can collapse them.
Yeah, yeah. Because like I know in like Argo CD, for example, they filter out system fields. Okay, cool. Anything? So what's blocking you on this? Like, I don't. This is a very short issue. What are you exactly asking about this issue?
We just want to understand what should be in the mock. We want to start the implementation.
Okay, so this is actually a really complicated question that we need to probably have a discussion about around, not now, but about what workspace kind page is about. Like, it's not just about, it's about, obviously, it absolutely needs to be about viewing. So the details would need to include all the options, but there could be a lot of options, right? Thousands. I could imagine situations where there'd be thousands of options for each type.
Okay.
Of course, in the future as well, there will be multiple types of workspace kind. So pod template is the current only type, which is similar to the existing notebooks, but there will be VM types in the future and other types potentially. So whenever we do, we need to just bear in mind that like the UI needs to be flexible enough to handle the case that there isn't options. Like that pod on image configs are not present for all workspace kinds in the table. Unless I guess that's the question as well for front-end people. We could also just like filter the table into two like tabs, if you will. That causes some craziness, but because there will be two different kinds of workspace kind or more that are incompatible from like a comparison perspective. So there's some things that are common for all of them, like how many workspaces exist in each namespace for this. Because don't forget, workspace kinds are a global resource. But yeah, just something to think about. So to answer your question, the first thing, whatever happens, probably, if someone disagrees in the front end, we can have a discussion, but do you have a mock-up? No, I guess you don't. The first thing would just be overviewing the number of workspaces that are using it, and don't forget that's in the status of the workspace kind already, so that's easy to get. You can get that for free.
Yeah, but this I worked on this mockup for the workspace
Okay.
workspace kind. This is the PR that in review by.
Okay, that one at the top. No, where's the PR?
Yeah, I put this one.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so this adds this number of that. Okay, yeah. So it's a bit hard to read.
Yeah,
But...
so we have a number of workspace. We have the status if it's deprecated or not. We have the description and name and logo.
Yeah, I do wonder about this being like a card versus a table view. I guess table makes sense as well. Also, this doesn't have the new tick box thing, does it? Anyway, we should probably talk about this in a separate thing. But yeah, let's I mean, if it's a first pass of the page, that's fine. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if we need the expand section. I think that's an interesting question.
Yeah, I removed it.
You already did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe we should update the thing. But okay, cool. Yeah. So if you just want a task that I think would make sense is the first, but again, the backend needs to support it. Actually, no, the backend already does. In the details, I would expect, however you open it up, whether it's clicking on it or overview details page, who knows? Just overviewing the available options, right? And is that something you've got a mock-up for, or?
No idea. No.
So that might be something we could work on next, then, making a kind of a mock-up for that. And then once we've kind of got an agreement on how to deal with that, because it feels like maybe it needs to be similar to the spawner page, you know, where you've got a filterable thing, because there could be thousands, right?
Mhm.
And also things like maybe a graph of redirects. Like, I don't know. It's an interesting
Okay.
question. But then again, once we've got that kind of visualize, so once we have enough, pretty much you want to get to a point where an admin could look at the workspace kind page and understand what the options are and what's being used in the cluster. And then once you've got that, then we need to think about updating it and actually, because this page is the source of them as well. Okay. So is there anything blocking you other than that? So obviously
No.
this needs to get reviewed, obviously. Oh,
Yes.
I'll link it. Okay. And so is next steps. Are you going to create the mockups?
Not me. You did, Will. Just here to understand what is the next step.
View goals list available options for image pod config. Possibly. So I guess Paula, you could help them a little bit. Like once we've got that merged on the spawner thing, like maybe we use the same element almost, but just in a different view.
Yeah, I would say so.
Cool, makes sense. Same element as the spawner pod image option config option with filters, labels, etc. And then the next one is next would be plan how to update, create new workspace kinds in the UI, as they will. Like the first one is just like add new options, deprecate options, redirect them. I guess another one would be like admin actions as well, like restart all that use a workspace kind, possibly filter by ones using specific options, you know, like, so you can imagine situations where you want to force upgrade things. And things like that. And we talked about other features as well, like integrating with the UI to warn the user that they're going to get force restarted in X minutes, you know, things like that. But like maintenance, planning, maintenance. Actually, that's an interesting one. Planning nodes. etc. Okay, cool. And so I guess that we can think about what that might look like. Okay, cool. Next person. Sorry. Let's. Are you happy with that? Anything else? So who's going to review your PR? I guess Eder. Is it Eder?
Sorry, I'm with my daughter, so I can't.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine.
I'm sorry.
Okay, cool. Let's move on. Andy. Okay. I guess you said before you would help out with migration. I think we should also potentially help out with other we need to think about helping other components migrate their tags, but you're muted, by the way. You're still muted. Hello? I can't hear you. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, sorry, stupid audio switching. Yeah, so happy to help any sort of this kind of maintenance stuff. Just throw it my way and let me know. For personal goals, starting tomorrow, I want to start to look into Eder's kind of like BFF backend for front end API kind of work to see what I can do there. I know that's mostly on model registry right now, but just familiarize myself with some of those patterns he's been building. So yeah, but I can certainly take on, stuff, GitHub Actions and any migration stuff, happy to handle. And then I'll be driving on some of this BFF API work.
Okay, and so for the BFF stuff, is it in the notebooks or is it the model registry that you're going to be working?
I think eventually in the notebooks, I need to like sync with editor to really figure out like where he wants me to go with that. But really, it's just kind of general familiarity with what he's done is kind of my immediate focus.
Cool, awesome. So yeah, I guess we'll the GitHub stuff will probably take a bit of time. So that's the only thing I'm really focused on there. So other
Totally
stuff do what you need, but hopefully we'll get some stuff done there. And Milland, hopefully we can figure out how you split tasks between each other. I think Milland's not.
Yeah, we can coordinate on Slack for most of this stuff and go from there. So just when we get that code moved over, let me know and I'll start looking at the GitHub Actions and we'll get some discussions going in Slack.
Okay, cool. Let's anything else?
Nope, that is it.
Okay. Hashad, you've written out yours?
Yeah, so I was on PTO for a few days, so I couldn't really work through this, but I'll go through it now.
Awesome. Also, if someone just wants a random task, by the way, the Notebooks 1.0 container images website page can just be updated to be exactly the same almost as the updated one in here, because previously it was referencing Docker Hub, but now we use GitHub Container Registry. So you can just literally combine these two. This README is pretty much the same, so people can. Either I can or someone can just make a pull request in the website. So, but if someone wants to do that, if someone says yes, I'm happy to do that. That would be cool. It's a pretty simple one. Okay. If not, message on the Slack if people want to do it, but otherwise we'll need to do it soon. Because this container thing links to Docker, which we no longer use. Okay. Hashad, so you're going to be doing the non-main thing. Anything else you're working on?
That's pretty much it. Maybe something to sync with Paolo, but nothing right now.
Oh yeah, don't forget also we did do in this one, we changed some of the state generation. Oh, we haven't merged this yet. Oh, we should merge this. There was some discussion a little bit about, if you want to read about this, about whether we should, in this, because this is what I was working on a couple weeks ago, was adding secrets to the controller. And to do that, there was a new error possibility, which was that a secret doesn't exist that you've tried to mount. So that caused, and the problem is that's not propagated through statuses of pods or anything. It's propagated through events, unfortunately. So,
yeah, there's an option called optional, right? Maybe we can take a look at that.
It's more like there's just we can merge this, like it does work, but because it does 15, it's just there's some debate around the fact that it retries every 15 seconds when there is a pod in a pending state that doesn't have any events, because we assume that eventually it's going to get an event as explaining what's wrong with it. But doing it every 15 seconds might be too frequent, maybe. I think it's not a big deal, honestly. But and an exponential backoff, I just do think, yeah, when you got like 10,000 users, I mean, that's a lot, but like 1,000 users, 100 users even, it might be a problem if there's cluster issues. But I think there's already rate limits involved, so we should be fine. Anyway, so we need to merge this. So if you want to look at this piece of code, it will help you a little bit as well, probably.
Yeah, we'll review that too.
And then, I mean, we might just merge it today anyway, but
in general, I'll take a look. Just
it's good to look at. I'll just put that on the link for you. We'll take a look at the previous PR that updated status code. But yeah, so we'll try not to make any significant changes to that code so that you can make one, and then we can have statuses. Okay, cool. Anyway, we've got a few minutes left, so who else has written something? This person's written something, Andrea? Or Adirina?
Yeah, it's me, Andriana. Hi. I took a look at the issue regarding the retry reconciliation logic in the notebook in the controller. And I have added the build rate limiter function as it is implemented in the external secrets repo on the notebook controller. On this, just a note, I placed this function under the controller helper directory. Does that location is fine, or should be, it is better to be under common?
Let me just see where you did it.
Okay, probably you need to review a bit.
Yeah. So let's. It seems reasonable, right? Yeah. I mean, this is under. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is fine. Yeah, I mean, there's already. Is there another stuff in that folder already?
Yes, there are some other things.
Yeah. I mean, that seems fine. Yeah. I mean, it could obviously even be up under main. You know, like it just depends on how we want to structure things. I guess no, main usually command only has one file, so that's probably fine. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. This seems fine. I mean, as long as it definitely works because it's been used in external secrets. So, yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. I didn't. Do you work at Red Hat or are you someone else?
Yeah, I am working for Red Hat.
Okay. To change. Retry. Thank you for this, by the way. Is there anything else you want to work on next, or once this is obviously a task, do you have time to work on a new task?
Yeah, basically, I am thinking probably I can help on the dashboard migration repo if there is space there.
Yeah, have you done GitHub Action stuff before?
Yes.
Awesome. That would be very helpful. Let's start a bit of a team to do it then. So what I'll do is to keep Andre from sending a hit squad against me, I will, as long as no one calls me after this meeting, someone might, I will try and be happy to filter those commits and push them to the dashboard repo. If we really screw it up, we're willing to force push if we have to, if we really screw something up at this point. Because we do need it to be in main because GitHub Actions won't run if they're not in main. So, you know what I mean? So like that is kind of the only issue there. Other than that, let's start a thread on the Slack, and then we can probably organize a quick chat once we've done that, and then plan it out. But I just want to highlight for anyone so they're on the call so they know what we're talking about. Like when we're doing the migration, the parts we're not moving in the commit migration are the workflows, but you'll see that you have to look through here and know which ones are important, but you also have to change some of the stuff because they're specific to this repo. And even more importantly, there's a releasing folder. And this folder has scripts to update manifests and other things like that. And we use this kind of version tag to do some stuff. So we'll need to do the same thing again in the other one. Or if we all disagree, we can actually, this is kind of messy, and you'll see some of the GitHub Actions are a bit repetitive and a bit like, since we've got this opportunity, let's think about better ways to do it. But that means we need to understand the existing stuff as well. So very, very excited to get that cleaned up. But again, the goal is tests on pull requests, which include integration tests and build tests and unit tests, and then just the existing ones, no new ones yet, and then also releasing. Yeah, cool. Awesome. Anything else you want to? And so we'll put this down here. We only got like 1 minute or a bit over time. Okay, who else has any tasks they want to talk about? Looks like some people do, maybe.
If there are no tasks to be discussed, what I wanted to mention is that we will have more time to contribute. So maybe we can discuss in the community Slack channel to kind of understand what are the next steps or what could be potential things that we can start working on ahead of time, especially because more people will start to engage and will start helping us with these. And I want to understand so I can remove things from the guys to working on other stuff and concentrate on more on the Kubeflow side. So probably I will be pinging you on the community Slack channel so we can have a little discussion about what could be the next steps and how we can move forward, especially on the kind of, I'm not going to say a roadmap or a plan, but at least to have an idea of what could be happening on next few weeks.
Yeah, definitely thinking about our release timeline will probably help us plan things. I think also at a certain point we might get to a scale where we should have a community meeting, but then we have stand-ups for like back end and front end separately, maybe, you know, or something like that.
Maybe. But again, since the team is going to be, the guys are going to be more into these, I will be around here more. We can discuss that together. We can move forward. Even like I can help you reviewing the GitHub project or whatever, or the task, even pinging people around to see if the things are merged or not and stuff like that. I will be around. So I'm more of the managerial area. area, but I can help you. I can help you that, and for me, it's also important to see what could be the next thing, so we can accommodate our time to have more contributions to the project.
Awesome, and also I think we also, I mean, obviously amazing to have resources from Red Hat, but we really should encourage obviously more contributions from other companies as well, just so that we don't end up having only Red Hat, because otherwise it looks like a Red Hat project.
No, but what I mean is like we are here to contribute.
Yeah,
if there are more
let's do
people
it.
around, that's no problem. But while we are here, we want to contribute as much as we can.
And so what do you guys want to get out of it? If you're willing to say publicly.
What do you mean?
Like, why are you contributing? Just like share if you want to share.
Because we use Kubeflow. We use Kubeflow 1.10, but we want to, and we were more like spectators, and now we want to actually participate in the community. That's why we are here. We want to. We used to work on more on a silo because we were a smaller team, but we are Red Hat. We usually try to contribute as much as we can with the project we participate on, and we don't feel like just like being a spectator is even useful for us. We want to participate, we want to be there, we want to bring innovation even to the project we are working on. So we want to be as close as we can to the actual community project.
Awesome. Yeah, but if everyone who needs to go, you probably have meetings, so feel free to go. Is there anyone who wants to talk about anything else just important before we go? Anyone who's not had a chance to say what they're doing? Thanks, people. I will stop the recording. We can also, as a side note, I just want to highlight this. Probably it's a bit late now if people left, but if anyone wants to help mentor the GSOC thing, I mean, we might, like, we don't need that many, but like, if you happen to be probably not an Angular dev if you work at Red Hat, but if you happen to be an Angular dev and are willing to mentor someone who might help maintain that piece, long term, that would be very helpful to the project, I think, because I haven't gone there. We literally got like nearly 300 applications, but if someone happens to be amazing in there for Angular, it might be great for the project to have a maintainer of the dashboard. So we'll need a mentor, and I'm not an Angular dev, so it's my problem there. I can help mentor a little bit, but anyway, cool. I'm gonna stop the recording. Thanks people for coming. Feel free to stick around if you want to chat afterwards. Awesome.